morning, everybody. It is a Monday, 19th day of October for 2020, and I am Dan Gresham at home this morning. That's hence why we call it the At Home Update. I hope you had a good weekend. Man, they go by too fast. It's like, I don't know, couldn't get everything done this weekend. I actually had a long weekend because I took Friday off. And I wish it were for a happier occasion. It was not. I had to attend a funeral service. So drive to Dallas, from Dallas to see my parents, and then back home. So I made this big circle of East Texas. And my takeaway is Interstate 45 might be even crazier than 10. And that no matter what time of day you drive now, the big highways, the interstate highways are busy. I don't know, maybe at 2 a.m. in the morning, it may not be that way, but anytime during the day. And you know what my other takeaway is? That our interstate systems might as well be called Autobahns, because we, for the most part, have kind of gone that way. You know, in Germany, everybody used to talk about, oh, if we could just drive like they drive on the Autobahn. Unlimited speed limits. Well, the reality is many parts of the Autobahn did have speed limits. Some parts did not. But it was also kind of self-regulated. And my contention would be that now on our interstate highways, essentially, you are self-regulated. You can go, oh, but there are people out there. There are so few enforcement officers as compared to the number of drivers. I mean, think about it. How many troopers can the DPS put out on the highway as compared to the sheer volume of people who are driving? And then, you know, people, if you drive, let's say the speed limit is 75, and you nudge it up, you're driving 77, 78, you know, you might as well be in the right-hand lane anyway. You should be there to begin with. If you're not passing somebody, but you better stay there because you're going to be constantly passed on our interstate highways today. If you're not doing 80, 85, we're at 75. I mean, that's so again, to me, it's kind of become the Autobahn. But I'm just glad, no complaints. I'm just glad to have it. I want to remind you all that you can post up on anything you want. You can comment about anything you want this morning. Same thing way you would post up for any other Facebook, post. You can talk to each other. You can talk to me. You can agree. You can disagree. You can point out something that we need to talk about. And I can see all your comments. In fact, I can pull them all up on the screen. So I know Marie is here and Chason is here this morning, as is Kim. She is at work, though, this morning. Kim, I won't tell anybody if you won't tell anybody that you're at work this morning. Carlene, good morning to you. David, good morning to you as well over there in Devers. Good morning, Laura. Good morning, Mary. Also, Jeannie Foster says, good morning from Vider. We're going to get some beautiful sunshine today. Don't think so, Jeannie. I think we're probably in for a day with a lot of clouds, overcast skies, lots of humidity. Had a discussion with somebody. They were like, oh, I just can't believe what happened to our fall weather. I said, how long have you lived here? Well, I've lived here about 10 years. I said, then you should know by now that October is a month that is up and down, as is November. I mean, we all want to think, oh, by November, it's cold every day. No. I mean, when you think back, certainly November. My joke has always been for years. You live in the tropics, you live in Southeast Texas. There are years you can have watermelon with your turkey and dressing. I mean, it can be that warm at Thanksgiving. But we all have a version of weather amnesia that allows us to forget what it was like the year before, or to forget how hot it was some other time. But it's all good. It's going to be nice. It's just not going to be classic autumn or fall weather. It's going to be Southeast Texas fall weather, which means you're probably going to be wearing short sleeves and shorts when you go. And, again, as long as it doesn't get back into the 90s, I think most people would say all good. We don't have a problem with that. See who else is up this morning. Joetta's up with us this morning. Get rid of this banner so you can see what we're going. You know now who I am. Garner is up this morning. Also up this morning is Tom up in Frankfurt. Oh, wait, Tom, you're in Lumberton today. Well, good to have you in our neck of the woods. Tom normally watches, as he says, from Frankfurt, Illinois, but we're glad he's visiting this morning and hope you enjoy the visit back home. Patricia Jackson, good morning to you. Hi, Kelly Tidwell. Thank you for starting your day with us this morning. Jeannie Foster is out there. Who else is also up this morning? Oh, Nina's up this morning. Hi, Nina. Susan, good morning to you as well. Also, who else is there? Oh, Shakira's up with us this morning. Clifford is up. You're exactly right, Dan. I went out there last month and they almost ran me off the highway. They will run you. It's like, okay, I'm going to pull over and watch you go by at 95. And they will blow your doors off going by. Hi, Kimberly. Good morning to you. Nina says, thanks for always making us smile. Well, I hope that's, if I can make you smile, that's the one bright spot of the day. Laura said, came in from Austin and went to CREM. It was a nice weekend. That's a good way. Sometimes, Laura, we forget in Southeast Texas how many great resources we have to get out and enjoy. You know, whether it's the Big Thicket or down at CREM, there are a lot of options for a lot of people. Good morning, Tammy. I hope you're having a good day so far. Khalil, good morning to you also this morning. Also to L'Oreal Irvine. She is watching from what? Puerto Vallarta? Really? Why are you watching this in Puerto Vallarta? You should be out, you know. What do we do in Puerto Vallarta? It's probably the same thing you do if you go to Cabo or any of those other nice resorts, right? Go sit down on the beach, go sit in the sun, go soak it all in. Well, enjoy your day. And thanks for taking the time to join us. I hope you're really, it's a funny thing because you never know with people, are they putting you on? You know, I'm watching from Warsaw, Poland, and you're like, can anybody really be watching from? But I mean, you know, with the internet, obviously, sure, they could. That's very possible. And sometimes even probable. All right, so we got a lot to do this morning. We'll squeeze all in as fast as I can because it is a Monday, and I don't want you to be held waiting for things to see what's going on. So let's go over to KFTM.com and check out what's happening this morning in our headlines. As you can see, maybe one of the, come on, is this really a surprise to anybody? 2 political campaign signs set on fire. Video posted on social media. I don't think that is a surprise. You know, that people would damage and or tear down an opposing candidate sign, somebody they didn't agree with. What I think is surprising about this story is that the people videotaped themselves, you know, tearing down the signs, setting the signs on fire, and then posted it on social media. Don't you think somebody would realize what you did, that somebody would take action? Or maybe, let's be honest, in the age in which we live today, maybe they just don't care. Maybe it's saying, yeah, I did it, so what about it? And it was interesting because we talked to both chairmen of both political parties in Jefferson County, and they both said the same thing. You know, sad that it happens, you know, but unfortunately it happens. This is not the only sign tore down this campaign, I promise you. People have gone around and they've taken down opponent signs, or they've thrown them in the bushes, or thrown them in the back of the truck and left with them. Happens every year, you know, it happens every year. But I had an interesting discussion with my dad. We were talking about, you know, how things have changed and how times have changed. And he was talking about how instant communication has just, you know, changed the world so immensely. And I can't argue the fact that it has. But when these things happen, it doesn't take, you know, in the old days, it'd be a newspaper the next day. Or if you were lucky, it was in the evening broadcast, which was at 5:30 or 6 o'clock once a day. And now it's 24/7 and it's everywhere. You know, so it's certainly exposed a whole lot quicker. But I just thought the interesting part of the story, again, not that people were tearing down opponents, but they were posting it on social media, and then kind of putting themselves in a position that obviously somebody recognized, or in this case, they put it on their own, I don't know, Instagram, whatever, Anyway, so there you go. That's one of the stories that we're following today. Also, we're following Southeast Texas students experiencing what I think is very real, virtual learning fatigue. Imagine, now you're old enough, obviously you're not in school today, but imagine if you had to go back and you spent all your time, online learning. How good would you be at that? As opposed, now some schools I think have done a much better job, if we're honest, and if they're honest, a much better job of virtual learning than others. Some have struggled. And your tendency is to think, oh, well, larger district, more resources, therefore they'll be better at it. The opposing side to that is larger districts, more teachers, not everybody on the same page, then the virtual learning doesn't go as well. But what always surprises me is what I've seen of some virtual learning is instead of having classroom instruction every single day, some districts have opted for assignments given out on the internet and then leaving it up to the kids to do the assignments. And then we only give you instruction if you have questions. Some kids can learn that way. Other kids can't learn that way. And, it's going to be, I think, problematic for some kids no matter what, because they're just not good. That's not how they learn. They need to be in a classroom to be able to understand. They need that face-to-face, person-to-person instruction to be able to get it. I think what you also find is that there are some very good teachers out there that are very good at what they do, and they're amplified and shine in a situation like this. And then there, like any other business, there are people that are not as good and don't perform as well. And then they are also caught up in the spotlight when that happens. All right. All right, let's look at Tracy Perry. Let me just address, I'm not going to put your comments up on the screen. I'll tell you why I'm not going to put your comments up on the screen, because I haven't had time to look at them and really read all of them. But let me just say that I will look at what you're posting and I will see if there's any, truth to what you're being said and what's being said by you. I don't post up things that I can't verify and that I can't, have time to go and look at before. But I promise I will look at it. And if there is some reason that I should, I will. And if there are sometimes, it's better left unsaid because it's not something that I can verify or something that I can quantify or something that you can say, okay, this is the source. This is where it comes from. This is, in fact, true. Then I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to make wild accusations. I'm not going to put things up that, I can't, again, stand by as a person who wants to be as much as possible truthful, factual, and informed. Okay? So again, I will look at them. Thank you for expressing your thoughts this morning. I do appreciate that. All right, so let's go back to KFDM.com. We'll show you this morning some other issues that are going on. We're into the second week of early voting. And for the most part, I think what you're going to find now is that since the first day and the first week are done with early voting, in which we've seen some record numbers. We have seen, some people, even people who've been doing this for years, who have said, wow, I'm really, impressed. I'm really surprised by the numbers. Because for the most part, the numbers that we have seen so far, are exceeding 2016 numbers. And I don't know what you take away from that. There are a lot of people out there that are more than willing to interpret it for you. That'll say it means that this candidate is doing better than that candidate. But I'm not sure, because I'm going to go back and I'm going to just kind of hit on something that we talked about on Friday one more time. And I saw posted I'm not sure where I saw on social media, but one of my friends and one of my college friends is an attorney and has been for a long time. And he posted a rather long piece about how people never consider who they are voting for when it comes to judges. And we've talked about the idea that sometimes we get caught up in national political campaigns to the point that we forget that there are very important local races that are being run. And his contention was no race impacts people more in their hometown than judges, because they're the people who are going to rule on issues in your hometown, in your region, in your state. And yet, so many times, people go into the voting booth and have no idea who the people are that are running for those particular races. And his point was, please don't vote based purely on political party, whichever party it is. He said, because there are some people that are running in certain parties, one or the other, or maybe both, that really don't have the background to make good judges. They need a person on the ballot, to represent. And as a lawyer, as a practicing attorney, he said so many times you wind up going into a courtroom and you realize that this is a person, that really doesn't have the background to be able to make decisions, effective, good decisions, and help our jury system work the way it needs to. So my point to you is, instead of only focusing on this is who I'm voting for president, how about you also focus on who I'm voting for county commissioner, who I'm voting for the sheriff, who I'm voting for the judge, and that you have that knowledge, that foreknowledge going in, and be honest with yourself. How many times have you walked in to vote and you went, you know what? I really don't know anything about either two. Oh, well, this guy, he's this party. I'm voting for him. Or this guy, I think I've seen his name somewhere before, but you really had no idea. So here's my other question for you. Would you be better served, would we as a public and we as a community be better served if you go in to vote and you have no idea about the people that are on the ballot? Would we be better served if you just didn't vote at all in that particular race and you let people who were at least willing to put in the time to learn something about the people vote? I'm just asking the question. Instead of being all about the party, whichever party it happens to be, would we be better served as a community if indeed we voted on people based on knowledge, not just a label? I'm asking, and you can respond this morning. But that was also the point of this gentleman's post, that, he wanted people to know that how they voted affected him specifically in his job when he tried to go and do his job. And I think a lot of people, my point has always been the real elections are taking place right here in your hometown. They're taking place right here in your county. They're taking place in your state. It's not just about who's going to be the president. I went to Dallas, and I'm sitting in a hotel room waiting to go to a memorial service, and it was like, I was overwhelmed by the number of political ads. You haven't seen, in Southeast Texas, we have not seen the kind of barrage bombardment that they have gotten in the larger metropolitan areas, Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, Austin. It is relentless. I'm telling you, there's 2-minute commercial break. Every single commercial was political. And what were they doing? Every single commercial was negative. Every single candidate, no matter which party, they were terrible. They were the worst people. That's your takeaway from 30 seconds. Well, this must be the worst individual that's ever lived on the planet. He's done everything short of assaulting somebody, because that's what we've gotten used to being okay with, right? Is political ads that are essentially assault ads, ads that are attack ads, whatever you want to call them. But again, do your homework. Do your homework. You've got Senate races here in the state of Texas. You have, like I said, you have county races that are going on. You have judicial positions that have to be filled. It's not just the president of the United States. Good. Let that be, the stimulus for you to get out there. But vote for these other races with knowledge. Don't vote for them blindly, when you go in. All right. And if you need knowledge, there are lots of places that you can go. Here's Laura Smith. Austin ads are all politicians and drug ads right now. Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. You're right. It's either one or the other. She's talking about pharmaceutical companies buying the ads. All right. So again, back over at KFDM.com, just hit you with a couple more things before we get out of here this morning. And I'm going to keep talking about this because I really believe, that you want to go out and vote. But I want you to go out and vote as an informed electorate. That we don't go out and just blindly vote. We vote because we've taken the time to know who we want to vote for. All right. Also this morning, you can go out and read more about Southeast Texas Food Bank and the work that it did over the weekend. We had a number of murders and shootings going on across Southeast Texas. They're there. You can find those as well. Also this morning, I wanted to point out one more kind of a serious note. You may have been seeing this, but COVID cases across the country apparently on the rise again. We are also seeing it in the state of Texas. The Texas Tribune, they do a pretty good job of keeping up on things. They make it pretty easy for you to go in and go, oh, okay, new case averages are up, hospitalizations are up, which has always, for most people, been a real key indicator as to where we are. But we've also seen a decrease in the number of deaths in the state of Texas. Let me leave you with one final. I always want to go out with something light. This morning, I thought this was interesting. Most dangerous states for driving. Maybe it's just because I spent the weekend driving this was like, oh yeah, I want to show this one. But you can go in and find out which states are considered to be the best and which states are considered to be the worst. Now, I'm not a big fan, this Houston Chronicle, I'm not a big fan of these where you have to, there are 50 states, so you have to sit there and go through every one of them to find out where your state ranks, best to worst. And you can see the states popping up there at the bottom. But I don't know, maybe it'll just give you something to think about. When you're mad about how bad we drive as Texans, when you're kind of cycling through this thing going, okay, well, so there's Texas, number 17, because it breaks it all down. It shows you fatalities per 100 million vehicles, total fatalities, yada, yada, going. You can see it all right there. But again, ranking the most dangerous states for driving. Again, that's on the Chronicle. So go check it out for yourself this morning. And I don't know, do we avoid states that don't get good? Probably not. All right, quick reminder, you can follow us a variety of different ways. You know that you can stay right here on the KFDM Facebook page. We'll keep you up to date. Of course, KFDM.com as well as our on-air broadcast. Also this morning, Twitter, you can follow me, Morning TV Dan. Also on YouTube, we have a Dan's at Home channel. You can subscribe. We post these updates there every single day. So if you miss it, and you want to catch up, you can always go there. Always like to ask you for one more favor, and that is if you will hit me with a like before you go this morning. I would appreciate that, just the acknowledgement that you've been here and that you watched. And if it's not a like, give me a frown, give me a whatever. If you're angry about something that I've said, that also lets me know, that you were here and that you took a look. All right, go out and make it a terrific day. I'll look forward to seeing you back bright and early tomorrow morning on the television shows. And then, of course, here on the At Home Update. As always, encourage you to reach out, be nice to somebody today, do something kind for somebody else. It won't hurt you. It's not painful, I promise. Be civil. And you might be surprised what comes back at you. All right, go out and make it a terrific day, a safe day, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon.